I
This
hope you're able to hear
conference
me.
will now be recorded.
Can anyone please confirm? Able to hear me?
Yes, we are able to hear Bhaskar.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is Bhaskar. I have 13 plus years of IT experience, and I started my career with Microsoft Business Intelligence. So where we have used SQL Server integration services, analysis services, and reporting services. And I worked for Microsoft for 8 years, and I got an opportunity to work with cloud technologies, that is Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, and Power BI. These are all about my experience. So today, as part of this Azure Data Engineering, what is Azure Data Engineering, and what are the responsibilities that we are going to take care as part of this, and what services we are going to use as part of Azure Data Engineering that I'm going to take you through. So before talking about it, we are going to say what is data. So when you start any business, when you go for any business in the market, 100% is we are going to capture the transactions. If you take a Amazon, how exactly Amazon is going to do the business, or if you take any banking, how exactly they're going to do it. Okay, so that we are going to talk about it, and what is database we are going to say as part of this, and then we are going to talk about ETL processing and what is information that we are going to see, and we are going to talk about cloud computing, why people are moving towards to the cloud computing. We are going to come across it, and finally we are going to see the roles and responsibilities of our data engineering role. So what is this data? Let's say, for example, if you want to run any business, 100% is we required application. Some application is required. This application is going to collect the data from the customers. If you take Amazon, when you order a product, at the time of ordering the product, you're going to provide some transaction details. So what is the location and what products you want to take? What is the quantity of the product? And what is the name of the customer? What is the type of the payment? So all those collection, all those details were going to be captured. That means Amazon is going to collect all these details. So from each and every customer, it is going to be happen. We're all the customers for all the businesses. Okay, so if you're using banking, then you're a customer for banking. And if you're ordering a product from Flipkart or Amazon, then you're a customer to them. So we are making a transaction here, and Amazon or any business is going to collect the transaction details. The transaction details in the form of numbers, the transaction details. Okay, when you make a transaction, you're going to make a transaction at some point of time. Then the date and time you're going to capture. And from where exactly you're making a transaction, or from where exactly the customer is making a transaction. So that is going to be captured by application. So location details we are going to get in the form of text. So how much quantity, what is the transaction amount? All those things are the numbers. So numbers also you are going to capture. So the data is going to be there in the form of text, numbers, and even dates. So this is like a data, structured data. Okay, so you'll be having different kind of data, structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. So how exactly they will be, I'll talk about it. And after collecting, we are going to keep them in the database. You're collecting the data through the application, and you're keeping the data into the databases. So this database is the business system, or business database, or data store, or data sources, or anything you can call. Okay, so I just wanted to say it is a OLTP system, online transactional processing system. You're capturing the data from the application, and we are feeding the data into the a system called OLTP system. This is specifically designed for running the business, online transactional processing system. So who will take care about all this process? So there will be application developers, Java developers, or .NET developers, some application developers are going to take care about all this process. We are not going to be part of it. From here, we have to bring the data. Why we need to bring the data? When you run the business, definitely at some point of time or after a few months or few years, definitely you're going to expand your business. If there is a success in the business, 100% you're going to expand the business. So very starting, the business area is limited, but once the days are going on, then definitely you're going to expand your business. So if you want to expand your business, how much size we need to expand? What are the products we need to introduce? So for all these things, we need to have a information. Okay, how much manpower is required? How much resources is required? All those things we can decide based on information. So that information is going to get it from the reporting team, but reporting team is required some data. So who is going to give the data is a data engineers are going to give the data to the reporting team. Okay, so I'll give a clarity about it. And the data which is coming into this particular place is completely raw data. We are going to save and we are going to transform the data. So why we need to transform it? The data is there in the distributed format here. The business data was distributed. We need to integrate them. So how we can integrate, what kind of activities that we are going to do, we'll talk about it. Okay. So now we understand what is the data means. It's a collection of raw facts. It's a collection of numbers, text, date, and data will be there in the form of structured data. We'll be having a structured data and semi-structured data and unstructured data. So three different types of data we are going to have it. So numbers, characters, audios, videos, and images. Okay, so structured data means like you will be having fixed number of columns. The number of columns, the data types already decided. Okay, so when you load the data into the database, all the databases are going to have a structure. All the databases are going to have a structure. Okay, let's say for example, first ID, name, and sales. So if we have a data type called integer, then you can feed only integer. You cannot feed others. That means the data types are fixed. Okay, so something like this you will be having it. This is a structured data. You're specifying the number of columns. The number of columns are fixed. The data types are fixed. Okay, so accurate data we can store in the structured data. Okay, so mostly we are going to have a structured data, and of course we are also having a semi-structured data and unstructured data as well. Okay, so if you have a OLTP system, if you have a databases like Oracle, SQL Server, something like that, then they're going to have 100% structured data. But in the market, we have a very huge volume of data in the form of semi-structured and unstructured data also. So what is this unstructured data? Unstructured data means the number of columns are not fixed. Number of columns are not fixed. First row, I wanted to add 3 columns. In the second row, I wanted to add 5 columns. The third row, I wanted to add 8 columns and so on. So that means number of columns are not fixed. So that is a semi-structured data. And data types are not fixed. Data types are not fixed. Number of columns are not fixed. Okay, so this semi-structured data files are going to be light-weighted files. The example for this is JSON files. JSON files. In Azure, we have a concept called a table. The table also is going to follow the same approach. Okay, so we are going to see practically how your semi-structured data is going to be there. And unstructured data is your audios, videos, images, or binary data we can say unstructured data. A data which is not having the header, a data which is not having the header, that we can say it is a unstructured data. Okay, so we are storing the data in the database, right? So when I say database, 100% it is a structured data. There is no other things. Okay, so how exactly we can store semi-structured data and unstructured data? We'll talk and we'll see how exactly we can do it. But generally, if it is a database, you need to understand we are also going to use a database as a data source or database as a target. So it's a collection of logically related data stored in a single place. The collection of tables you are going to have it. So that is a database. Example for this databases is SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, Netezza, and so on. So there are many RDBMS tools in the market. So we can treat all of them as a databases. Now you have a data in the database. You have done some transactions, and we to say customers made a transactions through some applications, and that data is stored in the database. Now the data is there in the any one of them. You just imagine. So we have to give the data to the reporting team. We are responsible. We have to provide the data to the reporting team. So if you want to provide the data to the reporting team, first you need to understand how we can do processing, how we can do shaping of your business data. The data which is there in this particular place is raw data, but reporting is expecting cleansed, transformed data, refined data. So we need to apply that. So to do this one, first try to understand what is this ETL processing. So if you wanted to process it, first you need to bring the data from the data sources. You have to extract the data from the data sources. So that is the ETL processing. ETL processing, it's a process of taking data from various data sources. It's a process of taking data from various data sources. Let's say, for example, I will give the definition for all together. You have a data in the database, and you have a data in the file system. You have a data in the various databases, multiple databases. So just imagine. I wanted to collect the data from different places, because the reason why we need to take the data from different places is when you're doing the business, or if you're ordering a product in the Amazon or anywhere, definitely you are going to see the review of the product. If you want to take any product, 100% is most of the people now are looking towards to the reviews. Okay, so depends on the reviews, the people will buy, or they may take decision back, right? So the reviews are also important. So business has to understand how the reviews are there. Okay, so what are the drawbacks? How we can overcome them in the upcoming products or upcoming deliveries. So if that is the case, then we need to bring the data. I mean to say the reviews data also we need to bring it. So reviews is always going to be in the form of unstructured. It's not going to be structured. So transaction data is going to be there in a structure, but this reviews always 100% we are going to have a unstructured data. And semi-structured data also is there in some applications. They're keeping the data in the behind the scene. Like from Microsoft, we have a Cosmos DB, a Cassandra, or different kind of MongoDB. All those things are example for semi-structured data, to have the semi-structured data. So like this, if your business is having a different data sources, then we need to take the data from the all the places. So who is going to give the details of this data sources? Your business will give the details. Your business will provide the details to you. From where exactly we need to bring it? what are the tables or what are the columns they require. All those details are going to be provided. And we need to extract the data from all these places. Now your business is distributed. Your business data is there in a different systems. So we need to integrate them by taking data from all these places. So how we can do is we are going to extract the data. We are going to extract the data from here. The process of taking data from any of this data source, we can call it as a extraction. We are going to extract the data here. That is what I'm saying here. Extraction means it's a process of taking data from various data sources. It's a process of taking data from various data sources. Okay, and we are going to do the transformation with this. So transformation. What kind of transformation? We'll talk about it, and what are the services we're having in order to do the transformation. We'll see that. At this point of time, we just imagine we are going to do the transformation. It's a process of shaping data from one format to another format. One format to another format. We are going to come across multiple examples why we need to go for transformation and how we can do transformation. So for time being, we just imagine shaping from one format to another format. So just keep in mind that only. And once you extract and transform the data, we are going to feed the data into the integrated database. We are going to feed the data into the integrated database. So this we can call it as loading. Extraction, transformation, and loading. So here extraction, transformation, and loading. That is what the ETL processing. We are integrating the data. The data was distributed different platforms and different environments. We are having different locations. But when it comes to here, we are having the data in the single location. So this we can call it as OLAP, or we can also say DWH, data warehouse. This one we can say it is a OLTP, online transactional processing system. So that means wherever you are having your business related data, that system we can call it as a OLTP system. So when I say OLTP system, it's a collection of environments, collection of sources. So here when I say OLAP, we are going to think that that is data warehouse, and this is specifically designed for analyzing your business. But these systems are designed for running of your business. To run your business, we have these systems. And OLAP is for data warehouse. So reporting team will take the data from here. This is one type of approach. This is a traditional approach, we can say. This was a traditional approach. Before that, even we can also take the data from the database. Directly we can take it, but it's very less chances, not even 5% as we can think, but more 90% we can see as part of this data warehousing. So there are some problems are there when you go with this approach. The problem is if you have a huge volume of data, then you cannot accommodate the data in the storage. That is one problem. That means storage is a problem. And if you have a huge volume of data in the data source to process and load the data, whatever the service that you are using in order to do your ETL processing, that is taking days to process it. Okay, and the traditional system is not going to support to process semi-structured data, and your traditional system is not supporting to process unstructured data. Okay, so the varieties of the data is there, so my system is not capable enough to process my varieties of the data. Okay, so the processing is a problem and storage is a problem. So how we can get the solution for this kind of things, we'll talk about it. So I hope you are clear on the ETL processing. Do you have any question as of now?
Yeah, Bhaskar, I had a question. Like you said, like
Okay.
transformation, right? What
Mm-hmm.
what what is the format? Is there any format of transformation, or directly they were extracting and just loading to the database?
No, no, no. Transformation is there. Let's say, for example, I have a EMP number and salary. I'm just taking two columns only. So employee number is 101 and salary is 1000. And employee number is 201. Employee salary is 3000. So this is the data source. So just imagine. Okay. So this is available here. But in my target, I wanted to see the data in this format. Same EMP number, salary, and tax. 101, salary is 1000. I can bring it because it's a direct mapping, right? And 201, salary is 3000. They're directly mapping. Okay, so for these two columns, data is coming from data source directly. But if you observe, your tax is not getting the data from the data source. But your report team is expecting to have the data for tax also. But your data source never maintain the tax because tax is not fixed percentage. It varies, right? So let's say, for example, I wanted to give one calculation only, one definition for this to define the tax. 10% of your salary is your tax. Okay, so we need to define these data points. Okay, so that is a transformation. It's not only
Okay.
just okay, so we are defining the point. It's one of the transformation. Like I have a 10 years of data here, but I need only 5
Mhm.
years of data. Okay, or you are running the business across the different locations, but I need only Asia transactions. Then there is a transformation. You're restricting it. You're not taking all the data. So we have a different kind of transformations like data filtering, data deriving, data combining, data sorting, data aggregation. Okay, so this particular transformation is data deriving. How we can derive the data if any of the data point is not available in the data source.
Yeah,
Okay,
got you.
so
Yeah,
in
got you.
simply I'm saying transforming from one format to another format. This is one format and this is one format. Now the
Mhm.
tax is going to get for this is 100 for this and 300 for this, right? Okay, if you don't do the transformation, then you cannot get this. That is what the transformation.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, any other
Yeah.
question? Anyone?
Yeah, hey Bhaskar.
Yeah, hi.
Are we gonna use the same tool for all three extraction, transformation, and loading,
Yes,
or we are gonna use
yes,
different tools?
same.
Okay,
We
thanks.
can use same. Yeah, let's move on. For this one, ETL tools, these are all the ETL, traditional ETL tools. I'm just going to show you here. SSIS from the Microsoft, Informatica, Power Center from Informatica, DataStage from IBM, Talent. So there are a few tools that I just noted here. Okay, so this is the ETL processing. These systems are not capable enough to process your data in the current market. So because of that reason, we are getting the different approach. Okay, so still I'm just showing here how exactly the traditional approach that we used to do it. As I said, we have a you'll be having customers to make the transactions. Application will be there. We already discussed about it. Just have a look on it, and application is always going to talk to the OLTP system to keep the transaction data, and users can take the data from here to make a report. For sometimes if they need a real-time data in the report, then they can directly take the data from here. But this is not the right practice to bring the data from here, because this is a business system. So visually we are going to make a copy of this database as a read-only access, or read-only database we can say, and from here we can create a reports. Okay, so different reports we can create by taking data from here, and depends on the time periods they can do the backup of the database to have it. Okay, so this all will be taken care by behind the scene. Not we are not responsible for this, and this approach is very less chances to have it. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to have a data warehouse. This is a before data warehouse, this was the approach to do it. Before data warehouse, this was the approach, and instead of taking directly data from here, they used to take the data from this particular area to reduce the burden on this. And this is a business system. We don't recommend it to do, or we don't recommend it to disturb your business system. Okay, so users are going to consume the data in the form of reports, because users can understand only reports. This Oracle, SQL Server built with the ER modeling. Normalized data, you're going to have it. Entity relationship modeling is going to be followed here, and whereas in the reports you're going to have a dimensional modeling. OLAP system or data warehouse is going to have a denormalized data. So just for an idea, I just wanted to show you that. You may have a data in the database, you may have a data in the XML format or JSON format. So these are all we can say are data sources. These are all we can say data sources. So we can have a reporting in other side. If you wanted to provide the data to the reporting team, then we need to extract the data from here, because users can understand only reporting. So how we can provide the data to the reporting team is by extracting the data. We already done. So we are going to ingest the data into the storage. We are going to ingest the data into the storage. Whatever the data is there in the database or anywhere, instead of storing the data into the data warehouse, we are going to store the data into the storage. Okay, so at this point of time, just imagine that some storage, and then on top of it, we are going to apply the transformation, and then we are going to feed the data into the in between there will be another database will be there. I'm not elaborating this diagram, and this okay, so what exactly we are going to do, this part is our part. Okay, so we are going to give the data to the reporting team. Reporting team will create a models and all. On top of that, they're going to create a reports, or they can also directly take the data from the storage also. So depends on requirement, you can have it. So ingestion, transformation, and loading will be taken care by data engineers. From the various places, we are going to take the data, we are going to apply transformation. Ingestion, we can also say extraction, and transformation, unloading. So simply we can say ETL processing is nothing but your role. Okay, so because now the role names are changed, the data sources got little somewhat changed, and different kind of services came into the picture, but your end of the requirement or your goal always will be extraction, transformation, and loading. So ETL processing only we are going to do as a data engineer, and the rest of the part will be taken care by data analyst. So data analysts are responsible to have the data as per the report requirement, and they can visualize the data as per requirement. Okay, so visualization will be taken care by them, and providing the data to the reporting team is our responsibility. So in the new approach, how exactly we are doing is same. We are having the data. in place of data warehouse, something came into the picture. We have the different data sources, as I said, and we are extracting the data and we are keeping the data into the storage. The storage here is Azure storage account. So why we need to keep the data here? Why don't we keep the data directly into the data warehouse as we discussed in the ETL processing? So that is a traditional approach. The traditional approach is that. Okay. So the new approach is we are going to store the data in the storage account. So why we need to go for storage account? This is basically, it is a Microsoft Azure. We are taking to the cloud. Okay, so there are many things are there. If you're aware of Hadoop supports HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. The same kind of features we are having in the Azure storage. So you can read parallelly and you can go for processing. For reading parallelly, we have a storage to support parallel reading. And to process the data parallelly, we have a services to process the data parallelly. Whereas in the traditional approach, we don't have it. So if you increase the database size, that will go for vertically. The size will go vertically. You cannot increase horizontally. Whereas in the Hadoop, we have a feasibilities to increase the compute horizontally. The same way here also we have it. I'll give more in clarity going forward sessions when I'm going to talk about Azure storage account. So whatever the format you're having, you're going to bring the data into this particular place as a file only. It will be file. Of course, this is a file, and this is also file, but this is a database. Even if it is a database, when the data is coming to here, 100% you need to have it as a file only. So we have a different kind of files we're having. We'll talk about it more in detail. So we are ingesting the data into the Azure storage by taking data from the various data sources as a file 1, file 2, file 3, and so on. So this entire thing is the storage, and from here we are going to create a reports. We can create a reports by taking data from here, and then users can access the data from this particular place. So as I said, this is the information. This is readable. This is a information, but this is not a information. This is the data, and this is also data. You're doing transformation, you're shaping everything, but still that is the data in the form of rows and columns. But if you want to understand that, then 100% is you need to have a report only. We need to have a reporting. So reports only can be understood by the customer. So because of that reason, we are going to visualize the data in the form of charts. So that is what the information. It's a process of getting insights from the data. Users can understand information. We're going to get information from the data, as I said. Now, why we need to move towards to the cloud? We already having traditional services, right? If you take a Microsoft already having that SSIS, that is a traditional service, SQL Server Integration Services. Okay, so not only for ETL projects, for any kind of things, if you want to run the business, first you need to have an infrastructure. If you want to run the business, you need to have an infrastructure. So if you go for on-prem, you're a customer. Just imagine you're a customer, or you have a business user. I wanted to say this business user will connect to some company. The company may be anything. You can take TCS or you can take Wipro or anything. Okay, so this business user decided to start a business, but he has an idea, he has an approach, but he's not having infrastructure, he's not having manpower, he's not having anything. So what he will do is he will consult to the some service based companies in the market. Okay, so I'm just taking this, companies are well known companies, so I'm just taking an example. So these people will say, what is your requirement? Then this business user explains his requirement, and depends on his requirements, they will give the suggestions. Okay, so multiple suggestions will be there. Depends on the user interest, they may pick some interest, some kind of things. Let's say, for example, I have my infrastructure, or I have a budget to have my own infrastructure, and can you provide the solution? Can you design an application for me? So then these companies are ready to develop a software for you if you have an infrastructure. So what they need to have a compute power, they need to have a operating system, and if they need some kind of application to design, then application softwares are required, and location is required, right? So physical location is required, many things, networking team is required, they have to set up networking, they will provide the manpower, or they will provide this companies provides the I mean to say manpower in order to take care about your business applications. Only thing is you have to pay the salaries for them at the same time, and you need to have a building for keeping your servers, and all servers required, right? And operating systems, I mean to say, to set up all these things, infra team is required, and networking team is required, and development team will come, and infra team also will come from the same place, and they will take care about it everything. And you have to concentrate on your own infrastructure. Okay, so if you need your own infrastructure, or if you have your own infrastructure in your premises, that we can call it as an on-premise. On-prem, we can say everything is there in your premises. For some reason, if your business is down, so whatever you have invested here is going to be wasted. That is one thing. Another thing is, before starting the business, you have to set up all these things. Okay, before starting the business, you have to set up everything. After having all the setup, then you are going to start the business. You need to have a business applications, everything, testing, everything should be done. Then only can start the business. For this, definitely it is going to take some time. You just imagine 1 year. It may take more than that also to start everything. Okay, so this 1 year, after 1 year only can start the business. But this entire thing, if you wanted to design everything and take in place, then you have to invest it. So investment is more. Okay, for some reason, as I said, if there is any down in the business, or if you want to stop it anywhere, then it is going to be, investment is going to be wasted. And that is one point. Other point is, at any point of time, if you wanted to expand your business, again you have to expand the resources, again you have to expand the systems, again you have to expand the servers, everything we need to expand it, again you are investing it. Okay, if your data center is collapsed for some reason, okay, then you cannot run the business, again there is a problem. So there are many problems are there with on-prem. Because of that reason, people are looking towards to the cloud. Okay, so not only this one, and also like investment is more. We are concentrating more on investment. And business, if you have a good business, then it is fine, but it is very difficult if you have your own infrastructure. The cost is more. In order to reduce the cost, most of the companies are looking towards to reducing the cost, and most of the companies are looking towards to more security, and most of the companies are looking towards to more performance also. Performance is also important. I have too many millions of records, and if you process it, I have to analyze the data on tomorrow. But if this process is completed after 1 week, then there is no use, because data is getting increased data is getting increased linearly, right? So if data is getting more increased, then definitely the process also we have to do faster. So these are all the problems we are having in an on-premise. Because of that reason, we are looking towards to the cloud. So if we can go to the cloud, we don't require to care about infrastructure. I don't need to invest the initial investment. I can take the service from the cloud. If I use for 1 day, I'll pay for 1 day. If I use for 1 week, I'll pay for 1 week. But here we don't have that kind of feasibility. First, you have to invest it. There is no alternative way. Okay, so that is what your on-prem and cloud, and everything will be taken care. Someone comes to you, and why you need to invest all those things? So just take the services from my side. I will provide my infrastructure to you. Use them and give it back to me once your work is done. So that is what the cloud. Okay, so we are going to say more in detail, and in order to provide the solution for any project, I'm just taking ETL project, but you can take any project, any business. Okay, so for ETL project, we require SQL Server integration services, and very starting, if I feel I wanted to take only this much size, but later some point of time, I feel that 1 TB is not sufficient to store because it is on-prem. So you have to increase it. So increasing size from one size to another size is time-taking process. It's not that easy to handle it. And infrastructure is required in order to have the databases. These two are the softwares. Networking is required, cooling system is required, security is required. So security in the form of physical and even cyber security. Administration is required. All these things we need to do run and maintenance. So administration team also is required. So everything that you are going to take care if it is a on-prem. But if you want to avoid all those things, I don't want to buy infrastructure. I don't want to take care any cooling system. I don't want to provide any physical security. I don't want to set up any installations. So I wanted to avoid all those things. Whatever it is possible, I wanted to avoid. If that is the case, then you can go to the cloud computing. So cloud computing is the process of consuming cloud services. I have a cloud here. I need a database, take the database. I need a ETL service, take the ETL service. I need a storage service, take the storage service. I need a DevOps services, take the DevOps services. I need a machine learning services, take the machine learning services. 200 plus services we are having in the Microsoft. You can take whatever the service you want. So as a customer, you can take this service. As a customer, you can take the service. So this process of taking or the consuming of the services from the cloud, we can call it as cloud computing. It's a process of consuming cloud services from the respective cloud vendors, is known as cloud computing. There are there are multiple or different cloud vendors available in the market. The one of the best is Microsoft Azure. One of the topmost cloud platform is Microsoft Azure, and you can take it from the Amazon, you can take it from the GCP, you can have it from Alibaba. Different cloud providers are there. So since we are talking about specifically, the name is stating that is Azure Data Engineering. So we talked about the data, and we talked about data engineering. So we are handling the data, we are shaping the data, and we are moving data from one place to another place. So who is going to do this? Azure Data Engineer. Since we are using Azure specifically to process your data, we are going to call them as Azure Data Engineers. Any question as of now? Any question? Okay, let's move on. So as a data engineer, I'm just going to give the responsibilities here, the responsibilities of your role. But the primary responsibilities, I can say there are two responsibilities at higher level. Okay, so one is data ingestion. Data ingestion, we are going to take care, collect the data from different places and ingest into one place. So we are responsible. The reason is when the data is there in the database, like the traditional, you cannot directly go for transformation. And we load the data right in the ETL processing I explained. This is not the best practice because your system will not support to process parallelly. Your system will not support to read parallelly. Because of that reason, we have to ingest the data into the system. The system should support to parallel reading. Okay, so we have seen data storage account, right? We need to store the data into the storage accounts. So the storage account, we have a storage account called ADLS. We are going to see more in detail in the regular sessions. Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So this ADLS will support, the ADLS will support to read data parallelly. So that is what the data ingestion. So data ingestion is going to be taken care by Azure Data Factory. And then we are also going to do the data processing. That is the major role that we are going to do. In order to do the data processing, we can use the Azure Databricks and we can use the ADF. That is, ADF is having data flow component. By using that, we can do, and we can also use the stored procedures to process the data. So this is a traditional approach and not recommended. Okay, in some cases we can recommend, but if you ask me 100%, I don't recommend it to do transformation with stored procedures. So where exactly we can recommend, I'll talk about it when the time comes. Okay, so this is 100% coding. 100% coding it is. Even Databricks also is 100% coding. Whereas ADF code free, no coding. The data flow is no coding. So because of that reason, even people are looking towards to do transformation with data flow because we don't require to write the code. Okay, so recently came into the picture this data flow. Okay, so a couple of years ago we got this data flow, but prior this data flow, how people used to do transformation, either going by stored procedure and data factory. Stored procedure and data factory, the combination of this, they used to do transformation. Okay, data factory will not do any transformation previously. Okay, so they used to call the stored procedure by using the data factory to transform it. For orchestration, we used it. That was the traditional, and now is not recommended to use that approach. You can go with either Azure Databricks or Dataflow. Even prior that, I mean to say prior this data flow, even we were using Azure Databricks to transform the data, Azure Databricks to process the data. Okay, because this Azure Data Factory version 1 is not having any transformations. Okay, so we used to do the transformation with Databricks. So this is 100% coding, but comparatively this one is having very flexible, and the less number of code we are going to write in order to do the transformation. Prior that we have a Hadoop. Hadoop was replaced with PySpark, and on top of the PySpark this Azure Databricks was built. On top of the PySpark this Dataflow was built. Okay, so this is coding and this is no coding, but these two are built on top of the on top of the Spark only. Okay, so I'll give the clarities all those things later. Okay, so for time being we are going to use the data processing is our responsibility. When we are doing the data processing, we are going to use the Databricks and we are going to use the Dataflow also. We are not going to use the stored processor. Okay, so the person who is a SQL developer can do this. Okay, so we are not going to touch this. We are going to do data processing with the help of Azure Databricks and Dataflow. In order to do this, we required Azure Blob Storage for storage, Azure Data Lake Storage for storage, Azure SQL Server for storage, Azure Data Warehouse also for storage. And for processing, we are going to have a Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, and we are also going to test the Azure Key Vault, and where exactly we are going to use, how exactly it will be there, we are going to talk about it. Okay, so that's all for introduction what we are going to do as part of this Azure Data Engineering. And so you can go through the content. Content is you can get a content to just have a look on the content, and if you have any question you can ask me. The majority I'm just saying here, ADF we are going to see more in detail, and ADB we are going to see in more in detail. And these are all the processing services. And for storage also we are going to see Azure storages like ADLS, SQL Server. We are going to come across it. Now it's a question. You can ask your questions.
So basically, hi, this is Ayappa Prasad.
Yeah,
Basically, data engineer, in the sense it is for ETL process only. I mean ETL
exactly,
developer kind of thing.
exactly.
So in this course, you are covering all the cloud basics and mainly ADF. In
Yes,
Azure it is ADF, and in AWS it is Glue, right? I mean
exactly. You're
maybe.
right. You're right. I'm aware of it.
Okay. So ADF we will be covering. So once we complete this course, actually I am from Informatica background.
Okay,
So it will be good to learn this data engineering in Azure, right? I don't know
100%
about
is.
cloud actually. That is the reason.
100% is because most of the companies, even if you take Amazon now, they're having Glue in order to process
Mm.
everything in the cloud. Okay, so Azure Databricks also is there. So Azure Databricks is not their own service, but they associated with the Databricks. Azure is associated with Databricks, and even Amazon associated with Databricks. GCP is associated. As of now, these three cloud services associated with Databricks. So if we know Databricks in Azure, you can work with
Mm.
Databricks in any platform.
So
Okay.
are we going to deal Databricks in here, Azure
Yes,
Databricks?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for this session, Bhaskar. But I have a lot of questions. So we are almost like AWS factory now. Everybody is moving to the Azure side of the world.
Okay.
So I just happened to, I mean, been with initial Microsoft conversations. They're
Hmm.
talking about Microsoft Synapse, Microsoft Purview, all these things. Can you shed some light on these tools? What is it about?
Yeah, I'll take you through that if that is the case. Basically, we have a ADLS for storage, and we have a ADF for processing, and
Mm-hmm.
ADB for processing. Okay,
Yep.
and for reporting, basically for Microsoft, we used to go with the PBI,
Power
Power
BI. Yeah.
BI. Okay, so what Microsoft is done is for ADLS, we need to go for different area. For ADF, different area. ADB is different area, and PBI is completely different. So they combine all together as a single platform, and they named it as Synapse Workspace.
Okay.
So if you know individually them, then you can
Mm-hmm.
have a 70 to 80% you're already aware of it.
Okay.
Okay, and few things like when I go for ADB, ADB,
Mm-hmm.
we can have a cluster. Okay,
Okay.
so we can create a cluster. Apart from that, if you want to read the data from the ADLS, either we are using ADF or ADB.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have a SQL pools.
Pulse. Okay. Pulse.
Yeah, SQL pools will be there. We can feel like you're writing a select SQL code, that is a Synapse SQL,
Mm-hmm.
and we can read the data from here as like your select star from table name, some kind that kind of statements we can write directly.
Okay.
Serverless will be there, and dedicated pools will be there. Basically, this file system will not allow you to read data by writing a SQL code, right?
Okay.
So that we can do with the help of Synapse. So some changes happen. I'll give the basic idea about
Okay.
Synapse, since we are already covering like ADF will be there here itself. Your ADB will be there. Everything will be there in the single area. And when you try to create a Synapse, 100% it will ask ADLS. Without ADLS, you cannot create a Synapse.
Okay.
And
Yeah. So
PBA
that
also
that
was integrated.
that's the thing. So once we cover all the basic things, please let us know basic information about the Synapse. And there is something called Microsoft Data Fabric. So if
That
you can
is
give us
out
the.
of, I'll give an idea, but I cannot even show something in practical also. Again, like this is a platform as a services basically. These are all the platform individually. If you go platform as a service, if you go with Synapse Workspace also as a platform as a service.
Okay.
But Microsoft recently came with Microsoft Fabric.
Okay.
Okay, so this Microsoft Fabric for everyone. Okay, it's a SaaS, so I mean to say software as a service you can use, and this we can use for reporting team. This we can use for data engineering. We can use it for machine learning. We can use it for data science. Everything we can do as a software as a service. We don't require to create any service. Everything will be already will be available. We are just going to use the service. And again,
Oh,
here also same. ADF will be there, ADB will be there, PBA will be there.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's quite confusing whenever we talk about all these things. So
Here basically they introduced the Delta Lake.
okay.
Okay, so Delta Lake again, it's like what we can say in Azure data. Basically, this was introduced in a Databricks side. Okay, the same
Mhm.
feature they brought it into the Microsoft. The Delta Lake is going to reduce the size of the data. At the same time, it improves the performance. We can do time travel. You can travel forward and you can travel backward also.
Okay.
Okay, so that feature is available. And on the file system, we can apply DML operations
Mhm.
directly in the file itself. But in
Oh,
general, we cannot apply DML operations. We can do apply only on database. But
yeah.
when you go for Delta Lake, we can do DML operation. I'll show you how we can do it with Azure Databricks. The same to same, we can do it here also.
Sure, sure. Okay. And out of your knowledge and your experience, so it's just a combination. Like, is it I mean, is it your expertise needs to be here, but ADF plus Power BI, or is it like Azure Databricks plus Power BI? What is the learning combination you recommend?
This is the one. This is the main resources for us.
Okay.
Reporting we are not going to take care because you'll be having separate team for data analyst. Even if it is a Microsoft Fabric, this will be used by data engineers and reporting team also.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't require to go with PBI, and of course storage is required when you work with this ADF and ADB. 100% is you need to know about storages also.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So our responsibilities is talk about storage services plus processing services. Yeah. Any other question?
Hi Bhaskar, like this is Sai Bharat. So, did we get can we get like some hands-on experience, or like can you give us some practicals or something like that?
Yes. Entire thing. You mean to say?
Or
Example.
like practice exercises so that we
Yeah.
can
Yeah. Yeah.
get some
Yeah.
hands-on experience.
Yeah, most entire sessions, 90% of the sessions is on practical only. Practical, and we are going to talk about the approach. So how exactly your requirement is there and how you're expecting, and how we can bring the data from this area to this area by doing transformations. So it's completely practical oriented sessions only. And we're also going to give some exercises to you, and you can do that.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And sample data we will provide, so you know worries about it. Only thing you need to have is system and network.
Okay, 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 thank you, Bhaskar.
Everything we are going to do practice in the cloud only.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question?
So the session details and everything, whom we need to
Yeah.
contact, like at what time
Career
and
IT,
everything.
yeah. You can career IT team will provide the details, and they already kept in the chart. You can see in the chart box the timings and all 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and they have given contact number also. You can reach out them for more details.
Where is it?
The chart
Okay,
box you
chat
have it.
box. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So session details, I mean to say course related questions and all, you can directly talk to me. And if you need any access or anything, they are responsible. Only I'm responsible for subject. Okay. Any question related to subject you can ask.
So it's daily, right?
Yeah, it's daily.
In the timings
They
had
mentioned
to be decided.
7 to 8 a.m. IST.
7.
So it will be
7.
Monday to Friday, or how is it?
I'm not sure about it. You can talk to them. Mostly on Tuesday to Saturday, as per my knowledge, but you can check with them.
Like, how many days
Okay.
it gonna take the course to complete?
45 days.
Okay.
That may increase also because sometimes it depends on the number of questions. It may varies the number of days.
And miss, I'm sorry. What is the database name in Azure? Which database actually?
We are going to
Database
use
like, I mean,
Azure SQL Server.
Azure
Azure
SQL
SQL
Server.
database.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
Bhaskar, this is Manasa. Actually, I'm having few more queries.
Yeah, please.
Like you said, like coding, right? What is
Mhm.
the language that we are going to use for coding?
Okay, good question. Like for Databricks,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to use PySpark coding.
So you are going to train us like from scratch, right?
Yes, we are going to.
Yeah, sounds great.
And I'm also going to
And
talk about Python basics, whatever it is required for data engineering. Okay, for explanation of, about your Databricks. I'm going to take about this Python basics also, how we can declare the variables and how we can read the data from different types of variables like list, tuple, okay, and how we can use the iterators, how we can create a functions. In the Python, I'm going to take you through that.
Okay, thank you. And one more question from my end. Like I'm technically like QA automation, and how far it is going to. I mean, how far I can go through this? Is there any suggestions like I can go forward with this with the experience? I mean, a totally domain is changed, right? Are you going to suggest this to go further?
Yeah, you can. It's not only for you, for everyone. Even if you have no experience, also it is good, because most of the services we are moving out of the on-prem, right? So, like if you take from Microsoft SSIS, there are many projects are migrating. Okay,
Mhm.
so ADF is completely code free. We don't require to write a code. Only thing is ADB. So there are many projects with only ADF. So we don't require to go for ADB. But here we are taking you through the ADB also. You can easily understand with less number of lines, we can write a code in order to do process. But if you take a Hadoop, Hadoop is very difficult if you go with this. So there is a MapReduce. It's very difficult. But when you go for Databricks, Azure Databricks, there are many things are inbuilt. We don't care about it. We don't take care about all of them. Okay, so it's much more recommended for anyone. You can easily understand.
Yeah, after completing of this course, by end of this course, how in resume, what is the experience that we can mention? Like, is there
How much
any
total
field?
experience? How much total experience you're having?
I had 8+ years of experience.
Okay, then keep your eight for four. Just make them into two parts. The latest 4 years you can keep with Azure Data Engineering. You can just make a note. So
Yeah,
they will not go and see, right, what you have done.
yeah, you are going to help for preparing your
Yeah,
resume, all
I'll
this,
help you.
right?
I'll help.
Yeah, sounds great, Bhaskar. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, then if you're not having any other questions, I'm stopping here. We'll see on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.